Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Behind the Name podcast. I have the guest Grayfruit. He's a Twitch streamer and YouTuber. It's kind of going to be a jank episode because I messed up some settings in OBS with multi-track audio, so I only have his response to questions, and I have absolutely none of my voice. Please bear with me. There'll be speech bubbles or something of the like to show the question or general topic, and any comments that I distinctly remember saying, and enjoy.
Hello. Well, I didn't start out streaming immediately. I started out with my YouTube channel. It was sort of a hobby in my college years, where I was playing a lot of Smash 4, which it seems silly now, because Smash 4 is such a goofy game. But I had a bunch of Smash replays, and I saw that Smash montages were a thing on the internet. I saw like Alpha Rad's montages and things like that, and I was like, "Hey, I could do this. I've got cool clips that I can share and put to jaunty music or whatever." So I made a few montages, and they didn't really get a lot of attention for a while, and then I think it was something about like posting them on Reddit or something. At one point, I got like a big like explosion of views, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was about 6 months between my first and second montage that I ever made because it was like that much of a side hustle, and I, of course, wasn't even making monetization off of it or anything. But now, since then, I started streaming games just in my leisure time, and since I already kind of had an audience from YouTube, I was able to just invite them over, and it kind of almost feels like I was cheating in doing that. But I was able to sort of start out streaming at a slightly more elevated position than having just nothing to work with and having no audience at all, which I feel bad for new streamers that have to work super hard to and are constantly going like, "Oh, please remember to drop a like and a follow," and stuff like that. It's like I didn't really have to do that because I could just ask my YouTube guys to come over. Yes, which I sometimes I sort of show disdain for that, but at the same time, I know that it is you gotta hustle a little bit, especially for people who have yet to sort of get their foot in the door. Uh, it didn't have a huge effect. I mean, I did, once I sort of got validated on my first couple of Smash montages, I was like, all right, gonna keep doing this, and ended up, you know, I started out just doing Smash stuff, which is in retrospect just kind of limited, and there was some like people who were going like, oh, I'm starting to get sick of Smash stuff, and I was like, you know what, so am I, and that was kind of what started to poke me in the direction of making more talky content instead. I like to think that viewer demand doesn't affect what I make too much, but every once in a while, like I made a Binding of Isaac video or two, and they got like super popular, and I was like, all right, I'll make a few Binding of Isaac videos, and sort of indulged that for a while. So I do sort of listen to and see what people like. I guess there was one video that I did where that was supposed to just be a one-off joke. That was the Portal speed run in open quotes, and then that became an entire series because people loved that idea so much. So I guess that's the most prominent example. Yeah, I recently finally finished 100%ing Peggle Deluxe after many trials and tribulations and losing my save file and shit like that. So yeah. Well, I did declare it over, but actually, I was somebody on Twitter came to my rescue and was like, "Hey, I know how to manipulate Peggle's save file data," because it was super agonizing too. Because it was like I had like maybe 10 challenges left to do out of like I don't know like 100 things that you have to do to like 100% that game, And so I was so close to the end, and then it went away, and I was like, oh no! But then someone reached out, and we were able to restore it. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, Peggle is like, I'm the Peggle guy now. Apparently, like I didn't plan on that, and when I made that video, maybe if I could go back and edit it, I would not include so many bits that were just me saying "cum" or "nut" or whatever, because now that is one of my like 4 videos that has over 1 million views, and I'm like, great, that's people's like most people's first impression of me is going, "Ooh, what a nut shot in Peggle" or whatever. Kind of embarrassing. Oh well. Yeah, yeah, true. Uh, yeah, I'm always fiddling around with something. Hold on, I have my little like Blues Clues list here to keep track of stuff I'm working on. I've got like a ton of videos in the works. I'm doing a special for the 9th edition of Fruit Basket, which is the community montage series where people send in their clips, and it's gonna be like a Game and Watch special. Uh, and then just a bunch of, there's gonna be a bunch of standard videos, but I'm also working on a Bloodborne slash Dark Souls 3 jank video because I've got a ton of footage that I've recorded off stream, which I normally don't do. The PS4 having a capture the last like 15 minutes of footage feature is really useful because sometimes something amazing will happen and I'll be like, oh shit, I should have been recording for that. But I've got a ton of footage from Dark Souls 3 that I got like a, a year or two ago and just never did anything with. But now that I've been playing Bloodborne, I've been finding all sorts of delicious jank, and I'm gonna make. I don't know exactly what kind of video I'm gonna make with it, but I might do something a little more scripted or Donkey-esque, where it's clear that it's a little more highly edited and there's a little more intent. It's not all just improv, uh, which is essentially what streaming is. It feels weird to call it that, but uh, I'm thinking about doing something like that, which is going to be a massive project because you just don't even know how much footage I have of jank shit happening in Bloodborne, especially. So, yes, that is always so, so fun and not soul crushing in the slightest. I definitely have examples of that. There was one really early on. People always, because I don't use face cam, people are always like, oh, Grayfruit, you got to show your face. And there's got to be a face reveal at like, I think 10,000 subscribers was the original thing. And basically, I made a video that was like the 10K special stream, and I showed my face, and I had like this shitty little Xbox 360 USB webcam, and I put my face in the thumbnail, and I was like, okay, people are going to click on this because people have been anticipating like a face reveal of some sort. And then I think the video is still under 10,000 views to this day, possibly. Hold on. But that was, yeah. And that was another one thing that I learned is never put the words stream highlights in your video title because people will just hate that. Let's see. Um, it's at 22,000 views, which is pretty fucking abysmal. Oh, Metroid Fusion. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes a stream will just devolve into chaos like that. There was a recent one. I mean, I was telling you earlier before we started recording that I have a fan on. There was one stream where I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna turn on all of my fans full blast, and I'm gonna like open the window, and I got like sounds of like jets taking off on an airway and stuff to play in the background. It's just like let's just have ultimate noise. Fuck it. Yeah, yeah, I definitely get like burnout. That is absolutely it's like the number one issue for me as a content creator is just like not uh not getting burnt out. I guess there's no other way to phrase it. Hmm. Uh, like fear of like a negative response, you mean, or like? Uh, yeah, I've thought, and I might still do this eventually. I've thought about doing stuff like video essays. You know, I've done a couple of guide videos that are sort of a similar thing, but sometimes I just like to, you know, maybe start doing reviews or talk about like a movie or something that I liked. Uh, but I feel that might be divisive and also something, especially something like reviewing, that is a whole new level of uh, vitriol that I'm like dipping myself into because expressing opinions about beloved works on the internet uh, when there's a lot of people watching can be hazardous for your health. Oh yeah. Well, Arlo tweeted out something about how uh, it's kind of silly that the people that are criticizing a fan base are now more numerous than the actual like obnoxious parts of fan bases. And my Twitter is a cesspool. Honestly, sometimes I'll tweet something out and be super embarrassed. I'm like, oh god, it's not like I want to like go back on what I said, but it's more just like, oh, here's this fucking guy who made silly Smash Bros montages and now he thinks he's all that, posting his like political opinions on Twitter or whatever. So I do feel self-conscious about that sort of thing. God, see, I used to have a lot more hobbies before I did streaming and stuff. I guess one that's kind of like a quirky fun fact is I had a very big phase where I was what do they call them? A picker is like the technical term, but dumpster diving is the more informal. I used to dig around in like the trash behind stores and find like stuff that I could use because people throw out all sorts of crap. So basically, I was a fucking, I mean, I wasn't like a homeless person, but I kind of acted like one for quite some time. Uh, and I don't know, it was just a strange hobby. I kind of like retro stuff too. Like, I think the thing that like got me into dumpster diving was I at one point like glimpsed like found somebody had like chucked out an old like N64 or something, and I was like, like how could you do that? What? Who does that? And it was after that that I learned that people throw out all sorts of like crazy shit. Uh, and I don't do it anymore uh, for a variety of reasons. One of which being just I'm not really that interested in going in the trash anymore. But that was like my weird specialist hobby before I got into making stupid videos. And I guess collecting retro stuff. Like I have a bunch of old game consoles and shit. That's more of my like clean hobby, I guess. Yes, it was purely for just finding weird shit. Essentially, one time I found a hookah, like a fully functioning hookah, and I was like, man, I wish I was the sort of person who would enjoy smoking out of a hookah because I just got one for free. But I ended up just giving it to one of my friends, I think. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes there's something I'm like, I don't want this, or it's like a couch, and I'm like, I'm not gonna take this. So, oh well. But yeah, I guess I like crusty, dusty garbage. My, those are my passions. I don't really have. Otherwise, it's just like playing video games, honestly, and watching TV and YouTube that will rot my brain forever. Those are my other hobbies. Hmm. Hmm. God damn, I didn't know we were gonna go into game theories. Well, if there's of course, I think it's almost a cliche to talk about it, but Majora's Mask, of course, having the representing the different stages of grief, like I that seriously, I know confirmation bias is a thing, but it's one of those things where it's so deliberate, like it feels so deliberate that each area really does like sort of have a thematic element that is one of the stages of grief, and you go through all of them in order. Uh, I don't know, that shit strikes me as pretty masterful. if it was unintentional, then that's lit. That's some like Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz shit, where it's just a very happy accident. But it's like that game was already about loss and grief and acceptance. So yes, yeah, and otherwise that game just has great theming. I mean, the rest of all the little side quest worlds. I think the one that I always remember the best is the guy who had his famous dance and he died without getting to teach anyone his dance, and he teaches it to you, and then you get to teach it to like the two ladies in the Clocktown village, and it's like, his legacy gets to live on, and now his spirit's happy. I was like, yeah, game's full of that shit. Oh yeah, the like, and those aliens are designed after like a cryptid called it's like the Roswell monster. That's not it. It was some there's the Flatwoods monster. That's what it's called. Creepy looking things. They're pretty. There's only a few pictures of them, possibly because they're not real, but they're pretty freaky deaky regardless. Yeah, that whole sequence, and they got Majora's Mask got like dark too, because that whole bit where I forget her name. It's like the older girl is Cremia and the little girl is I forget. But the yeah, the little girl, they're both like milk puns, I think, because they work at a ranch. But I think the little kid's Romani or something, and she's like oblivious to the fact that the world, and then she gets abducted and comes back all fucked up, and then her older sister gives her like the special milk that's supposed to be like alcohol esque, and it like makes her all like woozy, and she's like, oh, now I won't feel the impact as the world is destroyed in front of me. I'm like, oh god, nice happy Zelda game. I think it can go a variety of different ways. Yeah, it's really fucking depressing. Yeah, that's I've definitely had that on a few games. I think I had to kind of force myself to finish Majora's Mask. It was one where I took like a massive break and then I came back to it and I was like, "What is this game? I don't even remember anything that was going on. Time to beat it." Especially like it's so hard to force yourself to go back if it was like something you were stuck on. Like I never beat Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I got 99% of the way through that game and just quit at the final boss. I just like lost to it like 3 or 4 times and then I like gave up for that day and just never picked it up again. I was like, I figure I can probably imagine how it ends. but yeah, but I still have that twinge of regret. I'll go back to it someday, of course. That just about sums it up. Big old question mark. Yeah, it seems unhealthy to me. It's there's almost too much freedom because also because I can just slack off. You know, there's nobody there to hold me accountable except that you know there's that looming threat of having your videos like lose their place in the algorithm. I don't know if you've heard about this, but if you don't post regularly enough, then it can sort of have a long-term effect on your views. But besides that, like a lot of times, entire days will go by where I just do fucking nothing, and I'm like, well, there is going to be no punishment for me having done that, which means I'm probably going to do it again at some point. It's I don't know. It's been a lesson in self-discipline because I do need to force myself to work on things in between just random sleep intervals. Like that is absolutely right. Like I last night I was up until like 4 or 5 in the morning just playing Bloodborne. Because it really I don't really have any. There's no like schedule for it. I guess I think actually the reason I went to sleep, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that podcast thing at 1 in the afternoon for me. So whoops. But yeah, question mark. That's exactly right. Question mark. Sleep schedule. Yeah. Like an environment in a video game. Hmm. Oh man. I see. When I was younger, I never really cared for medieval, and only now do I like it because of every FromSoft game, and like Bloodborne has made me start to appreciate Victorian sort of atmosphere better, and Sekiro made me interested in like feudal Japan, of course. Uh, but I think that's just because they're fucking amazing, like striking worlds. They could make just about anything look that great. I feel like I'm still not. By default, I'm more of a sci-fi man. I think I would love a Hitchhiker's Guide game that is not a text adventure from the age of Zork, because there is a Hitchhiker's Guide game that I know of, but it doesn't even have any visuals whatsoever. It's just like a text parser. Uh, I'm a huge fan of Hitchhiker's Guide, and there's so many cool locations that are sort of like surreal and weird. I remember there was like a beach planet that was like all coastlines, and it's always 5 o'clock in the afternoon and stuff like that. It was just like this complete like masturbatory like fantasy of just like the absolute most pleasant place you could possibly be in. And I guess I'd want to go there. It's kind of same comfy like tropical Mario Sunshine vibe, you know. It's my weirdly specific answer. Just if I had to like change like the name and the logo, or if I had to like just go in a totally new direction. Well, I would probably fall back on the King of Bees, which uh, was my old username that I used on a lot of things. Anybody who watches the streams has probably seen it show up as my Steam username and stuff like that. I guess I would go for that. I can't really think of, maybe I would try to like brainstorm a new thing. But I think I would just fall back on that. And in terms of changing what I did, I've always been interested in the really weird shit that like Germa does. I don't know if you watch Germa. Uh, well, he is a streamer who does. Not only does he do video games, he does video games playing, but he does like weird. It's almost like performance art streams. Almost. He's still comedic, and he has like a light tone, I guess. But like he had a stream where it was like a carnival, and he actually got a bunch of carnival equipment and brought it out to this field, and had a bunch of like cameramen filming him, and there was somebody who helped him make bots that would accept input from Twitch chat, and they could like throw beanbags at the target for the dunk tank, and Germa would sit in the dunk tank or whatever, so people at home could try to dunk him and stuff like that. Very imaginative, very like high effort ideas, and he seems to take great pride in those sorts of things too. Like he does this thing called Germania, that's like a wrestling parody, or for like pro wrestling type stuff. It, just really admirable shit, and he does it so well that it's almost like discouraging for me, because I'm like, how am I going to ever do something like that and top his amazing ideas? Yeah, yeah. It's like on one hand he's quite an inspiration, but on the other hand, it's like if I was a filmmaker and I was like trying to trying to be like the follow-up act to like Quentin Tarantino or something. I'd just be like, well, why even fucking try, when somebody's out there doing it so well. There was one stream where he just built a birdhouse, and he somehow made it entertaining. He just was on webcam making a birdhouse. Yeah, it's a ton of effort. Like I've been watching Red Letter Media, and in their reviews, sometimes they'll have these like casual skits, and you sort of like chuckle about it, but then when you really start to think about it, you're like, damn, they put a lot of effort towards that. Like they bought a bunch of shit. They probably like went to a thrift store and got a bunch of like secondhand VCRs to smash and stuff like that. Like there's real artistry, or at least effort, that goes into so much of this stuff. Just anything. I don't know. Getting paid to play video games is pretty nice. That's I feel like I don't really have. That's the thing. Like, I'm really glad that the whole YouTube thing started to like work out, and I was able to start making a living off of it because I was very directionless and had no fucking clue what I was gonna do in like high school and college. So when YouTube started becoming a viable option, I was like, phew, don't have to think about actually doing anything anymore. I can just do what I like. Yeah, dodged the bullet of an actual career. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to go into like business or anything. Maybe if I really wanted to, I would start trying to be a game developer. Try to learn how to program, and then maybe make an indie game or two. If I could hire a small team, that would possibly interest me. Interactive media design, which is, I think that sort of stemmed from when I went in there. The only thing I could think of was, well, video games. I want to go make a video game or something. So I went into interactive media design, which kind of ended up being pertinent-ish to my actual career because streaming is an interactive media, with chat and all that. Uh, so I don't feel like I got a huge amount of like. I don't feel like I'm getting as much bang for my buck with my degree as perhaps some of my cohorts in that class were, but it was a decent amount. A lot of it was, there were just a couple classes that were like about video editing specifically that really helped out, but some of the stuff was just kind of like, I don't give a shit about like the business aspect of it and stuff like that, and I'm glad I don't really have to. Okay. Okay. Damn. Couldn't cheat and say no. I mean, English is the, I was about to say like, what about British or something dumb like that. I don't know, probably Japanese. I know I sound like a weeb saying that, but Japan, for all its faults, is a very cool country. Very interested in, especially a lot of like. I would love to go to Japan and just like see the sights, see all like the landscapes and stuff. So I guess that, because it would be kind of choosing where you live too. If you forget how to. I suppose I couldn't relearn English, right? That would also be cheating. Hmm. Yeah. I guess I would say either Japanese or whatever the second most commonly spoken language on earth is, because I think it's either Mandarin or English that's the most commonly spoken. I guess, God, if I really wanted to be a boring fuck, I could say Mandarin, because that's like the one that will help me communicate with the most people, I guess. Uh, and the one that we will ostensibly all speak in the future in Firefly or something. But yeah, I guess, fuck, I guess I would go with either Mandarin Chinese or Japanese, just because, fuck it, variety is the spice of life. I've had enough of Western culture. Yeah, let's experience something new. If I'm being put into this language transference chamber or whatever, I was born ready. No, it sounds fucking dreadful. I think actually one time I had a very slight bit of like I was awake and I couldn't move. And I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is the thing I've heard about. I've heard about this. This sucks." But then it lasted like 10 seconds and then I could move. And I didn't get like the un, unfathomable terror that people say they get. And I've had like bad nightmares and shit, but no, thank fuck that I have not had sleep paralysis because it sounds horrible. It just sounds like a literal nightmare. Oh Christ! See, I could go realistic, or I could say like Elmo or something. Uh, no, I don't even know. They always say it's like a little. It tends to be a little guy that sits on your chest, right? Isn't that what they always say? Is it a little demon? Uh, Well, let me tell you one that is half like kind of a joke and kind of legit. Is when I was young, I was traumatized, scared of the, they have a 3D model of Peeves the Poltergeist in the first Harry Potter PC game that just for whatever reason, I'm looking at it right now. I like Googled it because I was like, is this as scary as I remember? And of course, it's totally goofy. But it was just something that for some reason, I think it was because he always came out of nowhere in those games. Yeah, I just sent you a pic. Uh, he always comes out of nowhere and like surprises you and puts you in like hazardous situations. So when I was younger, I did have nightmares about Peeves the Poltergeist. Uh, yeah, it looks like the version from the PlayStation 1 or the PS1 version is also pretty terrifying, but different. But I distinctly remember having nightmares about that. So maybe Peeves the Poltergeist from PC Harry Potter would be my sleep paralysis demon. God, that's like a it's like a From Software game where you like invade someone else's world as a phantom. Uh, Good God, I don't know. Maybe I would try to like either I'd do my classic move, the hand in the bowl of warm water, of course, or I would try to like condition them to do like to like have some really weird behavior, you know? Like I would like whisper, I don't know, I don't even know, whisper something in their ear that will make them like just do something totally absurd in their day-to-day life and make a fool out of themselves. I don't know. I guess I'm Peeves the Poltergeist, huh? Because I'm going more like trickster route than undying horror route. But oh well. See, at that point, I'm gonna go boring here and say realistically, I would restrain or refrain from being spooky and evil, and would instead try to communicate that I am a somehow a real world Dark Souls invader, and probably make some stupid joke. If it was Andrew specifically, uh, I don't know. Maybe I'd try to fuck with him a little bit. I don't know if when life gives you lemons, right? I'll be there, wringing my hands. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Well, we've had. I don't know if you watch Lark Souls, but we've had sort of a similar type of situation happen before, where we traded Pokemon on a Nintendo DS, and then he didn't realize that there was voice chat on the DS, and he left his DS on the counter, and even though it was like closed, it could still I could still hear what he was saying. So I started messaging him on Facebook the things that he was saying out loud, even though I wasn't like there with him. And he was like, "What the fuck is happening?" And it took him quite some time to figure out what was going on. And maybe that's maybe that's more revealing of how I would act if I got the chance to be his sleep paralysis demon, because I did take that opportunity to fuck with him hella hard, and I did take great amounts of joy in doing that, honestly. Yes, it had a mic, so I think it might have only been on the DS Lite forward, because there was like the original DS, which was like a clunky, outdated piece of shit, and there's like the sleeker version, which is usually like what people think of when they think DS. That was like the light version. I don't know if this is true. It might have always been there, but there's a tiny little slot like in between the two screens that is a microphone. Well, in Pokemon Black and White, there was a Pokemon called Chatot, I think, Chat Yacht, something like that, that you could record a voice line for, and then it would, when you start off a Pokemon battle and your Ivysaur goes or whatever, it makes the weird sound. It would instead be the voice clip that you recorded. So that Pokemon was, of course, banned from online play because people could record all sorts of horrendous things. I remember there was also the new Super Mario Bros. And Mario 64 DS mini games where you're like Yoshi floating on a balloon and you have to blow into the mic. and I always thought it had some sort of like blow sensor, but no, it's just a microphone, and it's just picking up the horrible amounts of like when you blow into a microphone, it makes insane amounts of static and noise. Yeah, kind of funny. I was not. No, I did consider blowing on the mic, for example, but just take our words for it. It's awful. Oh, are we calling it wraps? Sweet. Yeah, sorry again for I don't know, we didn't mention this on the podcast, but I accidentally was a no show. I forgot the interview was happening and I missed it. I felt so bad. So big apology there. It did. It did. Yeah, sure. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/thegrayfruit. Sadly, Grayfruit was taken. So it's got a the. My Twitter also has a the in front of it. It's just at the Grayfruit. If you want to see me gripe constantly and maybe 0.001% of the time say something positive, uh, and check out my YouTube channel. I don't know. I have plenty of got all sorts of variety content. I also have my full stream channel, which has just so many hours of content. I can't guarantee it's all good, but it's there. So thank you so much for having me, and I had a good time.